Alright, so Tasūketsu is...
the biggest piece of dog shit.
The anime promised us intense psychological drama, complex characters, and a plot that would keep us on the edge of our seats. But instead, we got, well, something entirely different. Imagine hyping yourself up for a 5-star gourmet meal, only to be served a 1-star soggy bowl of instant noodles. That's the experience Tasūketsu delivers. From the opening scene, it was clear that something was off. The character designs looked outdated, and the animation had more still frames than an awkward family photo album. But hey, we're not here just to roast the art. We're here to uncover why Tasūketsu is getting the dubious honor of being the worst anime of the season. So, what went wrong? How did a show with so much potential become a contender for the worst anime of the season? For that answer, we'll have to start with the show's... Alright, so picture this. You sit down to watch a psychological thriller, expecting mind-bending twists and deep character arcs, but what you get instead is a disjointed mess that makes less sense than a cat trying to explain quantum physics. I mean, the story starts off with an interesting premise. What if your life depended on the choices of the majority? Sounds intense, right? But as the episodes progress, it quickly becomes clear that the writers had no idea where they were going with this concept. The pacing is all over the place. One moment you're getting a long drawn out exposition dump, and the next you're thrown into a chaotic action sequence that feels completely unearned. It's like the script was written by two different people who weren't allowed to talk to each other. And then there's the plot twist. Or should I say, the attempts at plot twists. In a good psychological thriller, a plot twist leaves you shocked, yet everything still makes sense in hindsight. In Tasūketsu, the twists feel like they were pulled out of a hat at the last minute. There's no build-up, no foreshadowing, just a series of random events that make you question whether the writers were just making things up as they went along. It's as if the writers couldn't decide whether they wanted a slow burn psychological thriller or a fast-paced action-packed series. The result? A schizophrenic plot that jumps from one scene to another with no regard for logic or flow. One minute the characters are deep in a moral quandary, and the next they're involved in a poorly choreographed battle that seems to have no stakes. Their transitions are so jarring, you'll be wondering if you accidentally skipped an episode. In the end, Tasūketsu doesn't just fail to tell a coherent story, it fails to tell a story at all. It's a collection of poorly executed ideas that never come together in a meaningful way. If the storytelling was a jigsaw puzzle, Tasūketsu would be the equivalent of trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces, in the dark, while blindfolded. But if you think the storytelling was bad, just wait until we talk about the show's... Now, anime fans, we all know that not every show has the budget of a Demon Slayer or the finesse of a Studio Ghibli, but there is a basic level of quality we all expect. Unfortunately, Tasūketsu missed that memo entirely. First off, the character designs. These characters look like they were drawn in a hurry on a Friday afternoon. You've got lifeless eyes, stiff expressions, and hair that seems to defy all known laws of physics, but not in a cool anime way. More like a this was done by an intern using Clip Studio Paint way. And then there's the actual animation, or lack thereof. You know those classic anime tropes where characters freeze in dramatic poses while the background whizzes by. Well, Tasūketsu took that to heart, except without the drama. Characters barely move, and when they do, it's in the most robotic, jerky motions you can imagine. It's as if they took a flip book and only decided to flip every third page. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone's cat walked across the keyboard and they just went with whatever was on the screen. Even in the most intense scenes, like episode 6 where Suda was fighting for his life, a scene where you'd expect some high energy action, is underwhelming because the animation is so choppy it feels like you're watching an old stop motion film. You're always left wondering if you're watching a poorly synced video, or if the characters are actually supposed to move that way. Spoiler alert, they're not. To make matters worse, the inconsistencies in animation quality are jarring. One moment you'll get a half decent shot where it looks like the animators actually tried, but blink and the next scene looks like it was outsourced to a middle school art class. It's almost like the studio was playing a game of how low can we go. Now, we all know that anime isn't just about flashy visuals, but when the animation is this bad, it becomes impossible to ignore. Instead of getting lost in the story, you're too busy running while everyone looks like they're suffering from a permanent glitch. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the show's... After all, characters are the heart and soul of any story. That would draw us in, make us care, and keep us coming back for more. Unfortunately, Tasūketsu for the majority manages to drop the ball here as well, delivering some of the most forgettable and one-dimensional characters of the season. First off, the protagonist. We're supposed to root for this person, but it's hard to do that when they have the emotional range of a cardboard cutout. Our main character spends most of the series reacting to things in the most passive way possible, never really growing or changing in any meaningful way. It's as if the writers thought, hey, as long as they're in every scene, the audience will care, but that's not how it works. Then, there's the supporting cast. You've got the usual lineup of anime stereotypes. The mysterious girl with a tragic backstory, the comic relief sidekick who's more annoying than funny, and the brooding rival who's so edgy you could cut yourself just by looking at him. None of these characters evolve beyond their initial archetypes, making them as flat as the paper they were drawn on. But the real tragedy here is the wasted potential. There were hints of interesting backstories and relationships, but none of it was explored in any meaningful way. Characters would drop cryptic hints about their past, only for those threads to be completely forgotten in later episodes. It's like the writers started multiple character arcs and then just gave up. And let's not forget the villains. In a psychological thriller, you'd expect the antagonist to be complex, maybe even sympathetic in some twisted way. But in Tasūketsu, the villains are evil for the sake of being evil. There's no depth, no motivation beyond let's do bad things because we can. It's lazy writing at its finest, and it makes the conflicts feel hollow and unengaging. In the end, the lack of character development in Tasūketsu is one of its biggest downfalls. When you don't care about the characters, you don't care about the stakes. And when you don't care about the stakes, you're just watching to see how much worse it can get. And trust me, it gets worse. So, is Tasūketsu for the majority the worst anime of the season? Yes. But hey, not every anime can be a masterpiece, right? Tasūketsu serves as a reminder that even in a sea of incredible anime, there are a few bad ones that manage to slip through the cracks. If nothing else, at least they gave us something to talk about, and maybe even a few laughs along the way. Now, I want to hear from you. Did you watch Tasūketsu? What did you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and tell me what was the worst scene in Tasūketsu. And if you enjoyed this video and like hearing about bad anime, I recommend watching this video next. Until next time, keep watching, keep critiquing, and keep having fun with anime. No matter how good or bad it might be, see you in the next video. Peace.